It's time to go beyond the headlines, cause I don't put in overtime just so I can headline. Okay, now it's Fox Sports, I'm live with Renee. Going hard every day, sports rapping every play. Different segments for your favorites, coming at you daily with positive vibes. Yeah, we some game changers. Basketball, football, soccer, with different interviews, you never know who may pop up. Listen, only on Beyond the Headlines. This is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines. This is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines. This is Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington.
Joining us this week on our Positive Vibes Only segment here on Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington, we've got Brian Newby, professionally known as Bboy Hannibal, an actor and dancer. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I am thrilled to have you here because you are originally, born and raised in Philadelphia and doing great things in your career. And as someone that's from or born and raised in Jersey, so I claim Philly sometimes. It is always exciting to have someone on that is out, breaking ceilings in their career and doing all the things that you're doing. So getting started, you were in The Get Down on Netflix. I love that show. That show was awesome. Can you talk us through how that opportunity came about?
During that time, 3-4 years ago now, a friend of mine was helping out two choreographers within it, and they were going to have an audition, and my friend, he called me up and said, you should come. Of course, I had a lot going on at that time,
Right.
So I had to, I think at that time I was working personal fitness as well. So I took off like days, and I, just went up there. And little did I know, it was going to be like so many people showed up, and it was I think maybe 20 spots that needed to be filled.
Wow.
That was like, for like reoccurring, faces, not like lines or nothing like that, but just reoccurring faces. And I think between 3 days, about 700 people showed up. Yeah. So it was like quick, to the point, and they knew exactly what they wanted through their vision, and immediately it was like cut after cut after cut after cut. So by like day 3, they already had it narrowed down to about 50 people.
Oof.
Yeah.
That is intense. And that all came about through your talent and, and what you do on a day in, day out basis as a dancer. So like,
Correct.
I know a lot of people aren't really sure about what to use their talents for and what direction in life to go, but you as a dancer, your talents allowed you to be able to have this opportunity as well as many others. So now you're on screen as an actor, but you're acting in your purpose, in your profession, and what your passion is. So,
Yes.
I mean, taking a step back, how did you even get into dancing? You're an incredible dancer. I was looking at your page and looking at your moves, and first of all, I'm like living vicariously through you because I, in my mind, can dance like that, but can't actually. But how did that even get started?
Just young, seeing my mom and her brothers and sisters, and my grandma, all from like my mom's side of the family, just always listening to music, always having like the radio on. It always seemed like a party, and just them dancing and talking, and so I would observe like the vibes, and just how they moved, and just how it all seemed to be like all the time. But it was like like such a good time, like to be around like one another and to do the
Mm-hmm.
talk about, you know, the stuff that used to happen. So that became, you know, aside from, you know, how I was growing up and, you know, like the hardships and just not having, you know, like, you know, tons of money to, you know, just throw around, you know, just like how you said, you know, I would live through that, seeing them have a good time. So I tried to imitate that. Just always have a good time. Just, you know,
Mm-hmm.
dance around and, you know, and it went to, you know, just, you know, me being able to dance and me being able to ultimately now make other people enjoy uh, watching or participating just as much as I'm doing with, you know, performing it.
Mm. So I
Mm-hmm.
love the family foundation there, and even you touch on the hardships growing up and
Mm-hmm.
how, you know, you had to, I'm sure, had to overcome a lot to get to this point. And I look at your your ability to do, whether it's physically the moves that you're doing, spinning on your head and your neck, or standing on one hand, to even the levels that you've been able to take your career. I'm sure none of it came easy. Can you talk to us about the physical demand behind it, but also the mentality to be able to get through hardships and be able to get to where you are now, overcoming all that adversity that you had to face?
Yeah. Well, physically, um, and I've from sports, from my sports background,
Mm-hmm.
I've always moved forward with, you know, with the understanding that, you know, that's just a matter of you doing it. Now, mentally has been like another thing because I battled like a lot of, you know, like scrutiny through the years, a lot of like doubters, and, you know, hey, you know, it's not really generating that much money. You know, during my younger years, hey, you know, you know, you're 18, you're old enough to, you know, do for your own, you know, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, and you know, just do dance doesn't have like a market. You know, no one in dance has ever established a market that says you starting out a dancer from the age between 1 and 4 years makes this amount of money.
Right,
Like that's
right.
how it goes. And that's um, you know, every now and then, when I get the opportunity, I do teach that you know, you have to understand where you are, um, within, like, first off, like the world, and then second off, like your market, and you know, where what are you doing? Are there, you know, jobs like, you know, wide open, or is it like, you know, it's very, very hard to, you know, come and make a living off of that skill? Then it's probably, if it's super hard to make a living off of that skill, that means that it probably should be a side job, or a passion, and not like
Right.
the thing that you're gonna, you know, be able to live with. So I dealt with all of that. Even still now, like today, you know, people um, are so enamored in their fear of, like, you know, just going out and trying new things, and being able to, you know, dedicate themselves 5, 10, 15 years plus to see that something happens. Most people back then when I started, and now, if they don't see almost instant success, as far as like within a couple of months or a year, they're already on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
That's so true.
it's really about, like, you know, dedication, because you don't see like the fruits of your labor. You know, I'm 16 years down the line, um, and you know, I just, you know, really start feeling like the impact that I've had on people. When people see me, you know, like if I'm at 15th and Market, you know, people run into me like, oh my God, you know, like, and they're around like a group of their friends and like, y'all know who this is? And they be like, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? And then they'll say like, that's Hannibal. Like, oh my God, like, oh my, yeah, I heard so much about you. And people just go
Wow.
on and on. And it's like, wow. You know, people still recall things I've done like 10 years ago. It's like, wow, you know? So I'm just starting to see that. Now, if you told me that at the beginning, you know, when I just started out, like, hey, people not going to know what you're doing to maybe 12, 14 years in, I probably would have said,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? You know, I got other things that I'm great in. Maybe I'll invest my time in those.
Right. So
You know,
now,
that
and you've been 16 years in, and now you're really starting to see the fruits of your labor. And how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
33.
That's a great message. Like a lot of people, and I feel like especially in this social media age where people feel like becoming, you know, you can become Instagram famous or TikTok famous or whatever, and people feel like they can grow their careers overnight, but the true strong foundation of your career does not get built overnight, and definitely not just through social media. I mean, some people do, actually, let me not say that, but as you're saying, it takes time, and it's going to take failures. It's going to take doubters and haters and people questioning you and overcoming all of the ups and downs to get
Mm-hmm.
to being a strong part of your career.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to think that in your career, a big part of you realizing, like, you know what, I am on the right track, was when you had the chance to be featured with Jill Scott in her Shame video. So
Correct.
I'd like to get your thoughts first. I love Jill Scott. She's like Auntie Jill. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know what that experience was like, and even how that came about. Because again, you're opening doors, getting to work with big name people, you know, on Netflix with Jill Scott, different big opportunities. And as you mentioned, it did not happen overnight.
Well, it it was. I mean, it's like this weird thing where, like, you when you're in, like the the group of talented people, and you feel that you're still like sure of yourself. So I
Mm-hmm.
was past the level of, hey, I'm gonna just go in there and give them my all. I was sure of myself because I knew like how much work I put in, and just coming from other things I've known about myself. I've always been able to get the most out of people, and then uh, do trial and error. I remember some people, I just didn't. I didn't know I had that gift. You know, so some people I made like extremely mad at me, and then
Mm-hmm.
other people I've like like kind of like altered their path, and changed their lens on life, and like how to go about it. And I knew and when I did that, that was in 2011. I knew that I had that type of energy, that type of aura, and I knew because when I auditioned, and you know, I felt like she was looking directly at me,
Mm.
right? And I was like, "That's weird." And I'm like, in the back of my head, pumping myself. I was like, "Oh, Jill Scott got crushed on me. I don't know if I do that." But I said at the same time, it's Jill Scott. Like, I'm not gonna play myself. you know. And then I'm like, but no, I don't really got it to, be with that. And so at the end of it, she walks up and she says, "You were killing it like the entire time. You have this energy about you." And, as I stood over there with Tiffany Bacon, and she was like, "Yeah, I know that guy. He practices over there in West Philly in the CEC. And you should see how many people come over there to practice. I've seen people who've like asked me, hey, like where the breakdancing practice, and I
Mm.
noticed that they spoke no English, and they journeyed from like other places in the world just to come practice with them."
Wow.
And then Jill says back to Tiffany Bacon, um, he was like, "Yeah, like I can, I can definitely tell it. It's like, he has a certain smoothness about him. Like everybody else is doing like incredible stuff, but it's almost like they're trying to prove themselves. And he's just like, I got it." And
Hmm.
then right then and there, it was like, it went from you can do this choreography from you can do this choreography to you need to have a solo piece. So develop a piece of choreography that you could do with somebody else. And we'll
Mm-hmm.
just feature that in there. And then what the choreographer has set, the choreographer at that point, his name was Troy Kirby. He set the dances that the other two dancers, the other two hip hop dancers, that was Rob Wilson and I forget the other guy's name now. He set that, but he didn't set the breaking piece. I created that.
Wow.
Like when I was dancing in drill, I had created that. So it went from somebody being able to set choreography on me to you need to do what you do because that's so special and that just need to be captured the way it is.
Wow. That
So
is that's
yeah,
empowering.
yeah. That's when I knew. That's when I like understood it at its full glory. Like I have this thing, this energy about me that I really need to like hone and I really need to be like super super aware of because some people they get a hold of that energy and then they go crazy, right? And then other people they know like, hey, I'm in this energy, I need to do
Mm-hmm.
something with it. So
Wow.
yeah.
So what are you up to now? As you talk about getting into year 16 as a
Mhm.
break dancer and taking us through your experiences and some of the highlights maybe of those experiences. Maybe there are more, I'm sure there are many more highlights, but where are you at now in your career and even moving forward, what's next for you?
Well, next is to I have to tap back into like the markets that work to fuel more of you know of the dance stuff that I want to do. So right now I'm in the midst of looking for uh, a garage
Okay.
to go back to open back up my natural fitness regimen for people. Um, then other than that, I am a top tier stylist for J. Crew. I do amazing work for them as far as because I've worked with like fashion weeks for like
Oh, that's so cool.
Philadelphia and New York. So I'm very into fashion as well. Um, I am a dynamite, uh, you know, um, artist as far as like painting and drawing and stuff like that. I wanted to get back into that stuff, so I got some things that I want to do um, that are going to be community events that focused on like dancers being able to dance on a large piece of canvas and
Mm.
then being able to bid them off to certain organizations that I participated in over the years, Chop, the Chop benefit, the Chop benefit. I've done it a couple of years as well. So it's a couple things, but very limited to what generates uh, a good return as far as like people feeling good and being able to jump to new levels to do more as
Mm-hmm.
far as like an equal investment and cash return as well to fuel more things that I need to get out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
And you know what? It's great that you talk about your work in fashion, art as well, because those all do tie in so nicely together. You
Hmm.
look at event performances or the fact that if you are now involved in an event choreographing or dancing, there's
Hmm.
also needs to be an aesthetic for the way the event is set up, and there also needs to be if there's a fashion aspect to that as well, to what people are wearing. So all these things all help to strengthen your passion and your work that you're doing, so that you're not just a Bboy Hannibal the break dancer, but you're
Hmm.
also an artist, of a fashion guru, a choreographer, a teacher, a mentor, an entrepreneur. You know, you have all these different aspects, an actor, that all build into that. So
Correct.
that's great. I mean, what would be your biggest message, something that you've learned to build your brand, to build your image, so that now people recognize you? You know, you have the reputation and the credibility. You have established, you know, your ability to be such a strong dancer, actor, choreographer, all these different hats that you wear. What would be your biggest message to someone that is also getting started, whether in dance or in another field, to really not limit yourself and to really build out your brand of whoever you are? So for you, for Bboy Hannibal, but for someone else, whatever aspect they're working in.
All right. This is going to be a tough one.
I stumped you.
I've been, I'm meaning tough for like other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been teaching this for the last couple months. Your next level will not be reflective of your numbers on social media. Oftentimes, in today's thinking, today's mind, they think that success is how much you are seen. When in fact, if I can present one example, the most successful person within creating a movie is the director. That's the most successful person within the movie,
Right.
which he's never seen or she's never seen. They aren't seen. The stars do get a lot of the accolades and hype, but financially are nowhere near the directors. So in life, you want to become a director. You don't want to be so focused on being famous, because famous has to do with the ebbs and flows of people and how they see you. So you're always going to be at the mercy of what the people want and not necessarily what you want. And that's the biggest misconception of like stars. Like, oh, like they do what they want. They get to do whatever they want, when it's further from the truth. They have to do everything that it takes to be always close, or if not in the right position of like what their fans want. Because as soon as they do something else, oftentimes there's a sheer drop off of things. Yeah.
I love
Directors,
that.
yeah. Directors direct where people go and what's going to happen and what you want to see. That's what directors do. So
So
they create the visual that you see, and not you create the visual that they have to be.
I like that, because I think so many people get caught on being famous in the sense that you're the one that's on screen, whether it's being an actor, or a reporter, like it being the on-air talent, or being the face of something, in the sense that we are physically seeing your face. But as you mentioned, it's the behind the scenes person, the director, the person that's really orchestrating it all, that's reaping the most benefit financially, without a doubt.
Correct.
So being more than just the face, but also being able to do the behind the scenes work, and now you're in control of, as you do with your work, you're in control of your own choreography as a dancer, versus having someone else always telling you what to do, or leading you. Be your own leader.
Correct.
That is powerful. I really, really do like that. And I think that's a great message for people, regardless what area they're in, to stop focusing more on the social media likes, but really, and being the face of something, but taking a step back to grow more than just that. So where can our followers and our listeners be sure to follow along with all that you're doing as you continue to grow your career?
Well, you can always find me on Instagram. A lot of times I post like social events that I'm having. Um, um, 2020 is definitely going to be focused on me doing a lot more lectures um, to open up the minds as far as what people think they are, or should I say, what people feel that things are, as opposed to factually what they are. So I'm definitely going to be focusing a lot on that, and then just so yeah, Instagram, Facebook. That you just type in Bboy Hannibal, and then it'll for surely pop up. And YouTube, same thing.
Awesome. Well, Brian Bboy Hannibal Newby,
Thank you.
thank you so much for joining our Positive Vibes Only segment this week. I wish you nothing but the best moving forward in your career, and I'm excited to see what's next for you.
Thank you for having me, Renee.